Okay. I don't know what'll happen to that little blip of a stream that I just put up, but I had the title was still the old. Got to update that, and we are ready to go. Let's see here. So tonight we will be continuing our experiment of sending the 1986 Mets back in. Oh, is my microphone on? Yeah, there it is. Send the 1986 Mets back in time. We've already replaced a few different Mets teams. You can go back and see how that went there. Hold on. See, this is why it's good to start while no one's on because I can fix these things. I'm going to do, we'll call it past results. And we'll make this an image. Past results side. There we go. All right. So I'll put up those past results and then I'm going to put up the open up the next Sims. Okay, yeah. So here's what we've done so far. Started out first stream. We did this. We took the 86 Mets back to 1962, and they finished second to the Dodgers, so did not make it to the postseason, which at the time was just the World Series. The 63 sim went much better, finished in first place, 13 games ahead of the Cardinals. Um, Even though the Dodgers are the ones who won the pennant that year in real life. So, of course, you would expect major improvements, right? In real life, the 62 Mets, one of the worst teams in Major League history, 40 wins and 120 losses, 60 and a half games back, which seems almost impossible. And when replaced with the 86 Mets, they finished 5 games back of the Dodgers. Then in 1963, again, check out this historically bad run, right? 40 wins, 51 wins, 53 wins, 50 wins. Um, so 51 and 111, 48 games behind the Dodgers, who went on to beat the Yankees that year. 1964, 53 wins, last place, 40 games behind the Cardinals, who went on to beat the Yankees that year. And then in 1965, 50 wins. Again, last place. I forgot to put in the games behind, but I think it was in the high 30s, if not the low 40s, behind the Dodgers, who went on to beat the Twins. And as expected, the Mets performed much better with the 86 Mets in place. Um, in fact, one year in 1964, they just caught fire. In particular, the offense was really good. So in most of these sims, the starting pitching, as you would expect, dominant. Um, but the offense, not that strong. And it makes sense if you think back to um, what that 86 Mets team looked like. Um, no one hit 30 home runs. Um, there was Darryl Strawberry was probably the most potent offensive weapon. Keith Hernandez maybe second, hitting 300, and then Gary Carter probably third. Um, catcher hitting 20 plus home runs. But there was, no big offensive powerhouse there. So that was kind of coming through in these other simulations. And the starting pitching was carrying the day. Even the bullpen was not very strong, especially once you got past the right left combo of Roger McDowell and Bobby Jesse Orosco. There wasn't much there. So yeah, so 1964 sim was when the 86 Mets were finally firing on all cylinders. So the offense seemed to be as effective um, as the pitching was. So what we're going to do tonight is this. Same thing. We're going to send the 86 Mets back to this time 1966, 67, and 68. I thought about kind of not doing every year. Um, and just kind of after 65, just kind of picking and choosing what what years to do. But when I looked at it, there were these next 3 years were still pretty bad. Um, so I thought it might still be worth doing these 3 years. And then, of course, this leads to 1969, which is the first year the Mets were in the World Series. So I definitely want to sim that. So this might be the last batch where I'm doing every year, and then maybe go 69, 73, which is the second year the Mets appeared in the World Series, and then take a stream to think about and plan out like what other years might we do. And then in the meantime, we played this game. So it was I called it game night, and the game was called Revisionist History. And the premise was we'll take one team that didn't win a World Series but came close, and then have some fun and do one of five different treatments to try to improve the team to the point where they can win the World Series. And one of the things, that was pretty clear as we were going through the so I chose force four trades, and some folks in the chat were helping me think through. Oh, Ezra Denny with a raid. Thank you. Welcome everybody. Hello, twins. Yeah, so I was today's stream. I'm actually going to be continuing jumping back into the oh, awesome. Ezra, you lost internet. I'm glad it came back in time for the raid and for you to finish your stream. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. So yeah, we this is part 3 now of this experiment of sending the 86 Mets back in time. Starting in 1962, and then tonight it'll be 66, 67, 68. But the last stream, the most recent stream, took a break from that to introduce game night. Um, and the game was Revisionist History, where we took a team, one of my favorite teams that didn't win a World Series, and chose one of these treatments to try to kind of put them over the top and get them to the World Series championship. And I appreciate the help from the chat, helping me think through some of the folks to trade and some of the positions to trade for. It gave me some things to think about that I hadn't really considered, and definitely changed my approach. So that was great to get some help from chat. And so what we ended up doing was uh, trading for 4 players. Oh, so the premise is force 4 trades. So in the preseason, the 1997 preseason for the Seattle Mariners, who won 90 games and lost in the ALDS, but had A-Rod, Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, um, Randy Johnson. And so it's a fun team, like a fun core to start with. And then we were allowed to force four trades, any four players from any four teams, and we can give up whatever we wanted to give up. And so we added, uh, and so with the help of the chat, kind of identified what the needs were. So I came into it thinking uh, one outfielder, two starting pitchers, and a closer. But after discussing with chat, ended up going with two starting pitchers because the back end of that rotation was really weak, and then two closers. So we ended up trading for Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, Billy Wagner, and Trevor Hoffman. So it was super fun making the trades, super fun putting the new roster together, and won 114 games and the World Series. So in fact, I can actually pull up through. So that was kind of a test to see how these games would work. And so I've got a few other games that I'm developing, and all these games are based on this is how I used to play OOTP. Yeah, that's right, Max Luffy. That's all it took. Adding a bunch of Hall of Famers to the pitching staff is all it took. In fact, one of the things I realized is just how hard it is to win baseball games. I mean, it was a 90-win team to begin with, and we added those pitchers, and still, I mean, I say only it would have been a tied a record, but still only 114 games. So yeah, 114 and 48. The other thing that was impressive is through most of the season, the Dodgers were keeping pace, and they hadn't done anything. Like they had no kind of magic powers applied to their team. Um, but yeah, so that was fun. A couple of other games. I call them games, but this is just how I used to play OOTP. So I think I started with OOTP 15 or so. Um, and I can't tell for sure because my Steam only goes back so far, and I know I used to play it before Steam. Um, hey, D Block, have a good appointment. Appreciate you coming in. Um, I used to do stuff like, okay, let me assemble the team of the best switch hitters, and even the pitchers were switch hitters. And that was harder to find, so I think I might have given myself a pass on the pitchers. And then like play historic games with them. And then once I started playing Perfect Team, I realized, oh, it was I was making theme teams and I was sending them back in time to play, play entire seasons. Um, and so I kind of wanted to do that on stream, uh, partly like to show people these are some different ways you can use OOTP and the ways I've been doing it. Also, so I can learn from other people how I can maybe tweak the way I do it to make it a little more fun. Um, and also just to kind of see what happens. I mean, the game engine changes every year. I learn more about baseball every year, especially playing Perfect Team. And so I thought, and I've been exposed to all these other theme teams now. So these other teams I used to make up, I have a lot more ideas now. So that will be another one. I'm going to assemble these rosters of 25 players according to uh, some, I'm going to call it theme. I don't want to call them theme teams because I think that's a very special thing within Perfect Team that I don't want to infringe on. So I'm trying to come up with a name for that. Um, and then the other thing I want to do is, and again, this is how I used to play OTV, is for each franchise, put together the roster of their all-time best players and then send them back in time. But also, if I do that enough times, I'll have all-time best rosters for every team, and then maybe I can just do a whole season of all the all-time best rosters against each other. And I mean, I already know as a Mets fan, the Mets all-time roster is not going to be anywhere as good as some of these other teams that have long histories. Like, like even just looking at the standings here, like the Yankees will have an amazing team. Um, the Giants will have an amazing team. The Dodgers will have amazing teams. The Mets, by comparison, will probably be terrible, but I think it'll still be fun. And at least we'll probably meet the Marlins, I would hope. So that's another thing I was thinking about doing. And then the final kind of game or type of experiment I want to run is when I was a kid, we used to have these paperback book covers on our textbooks, and we would all just kind of doodle in the class. And I was always writing lineups on them, so it'd be like my all-time lineup or my favorite players who are playing this year. So I want to take one of those old-time lineups, and I don't have the book covers, but I can kind of remember who I used to pick. Put that team together, and then just run it through a bunch of seasons and see how they do. Like, put them in 1927 and see how they do against the 27 Yankees. And I'm assuming they'll win because they'll have all the best players who ever played. But I just kind of want to see what happens, just like what's going on with these Mets simulations. So that's kind of what's going on there. And then the other thing I wanted to do tonight before I jump into the simulation was um, I actually have followers, which is pretty cool. I started doing this just because I wanted videos of the simulations so I could just kind of have a record of them. I mean, I have no plans for what to do with them. I just, thought it'd be nice to have. Maybe if my kids grow up liking baseball, maybe they'll want to see them and see what kind of stuff I was up to. Um, and so someone suggested, well, if you just want videos, and I didn't know how to I don't know an easy way to produce a video that I can just put on YouTube, basically the storage. And then someone says, well, why don't you just stream it and then Twitch lets you export it to YouTube? And I thought, oh, well, that's perfect because I've seen enough Twitch streams of OOTP that I'm like, okay, I kind of know how I want it to look. And if it's an easy export to YouTube, that'll be perfect. So I wasn't even really thinking about like, oh, like while doing that, people might watch and I might get followers. And so here's a list of I put thank you new followers, but it should actually just say thank you, I guess, all followers and first followers and um but yeah, so I don't know if I have something wrong in the settings, but I didn't get any notifications while I was streaming that I had a like I gained a follower, and I know like watching these streams there's usually like some notification and the streamers make it really fun. I don't know if I just didn't do some sort of setting or if all these people started following me while I was offline, which also seems highly likely because I'm only on for a couple of hours at a time. Um, so, thank you to everybody. Go Canucks, who was actually my first follower and is someone I know in real life. Nasbase was the first streamer to follow me. Matt C 1981, Ezra Denny, who gave me my first raid. GT Sundown, who is a fellow Georgia Tech alum. John Doe 8865, D King 395, Spore, who's the first OOTP person to follow. Don't Cut the D Block Dragon, Gumbercules, Shreddy G6, EVC and NYC2. It's especially crazy seeing him because he was one of the first people I started watching. So when I saw he was on, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Underdog 44, who actually might have been in that raid. I don't know if he stuck around. The Nolan Network podcast, who was one of the people on the revisionist history game with the 97 um, Mariners, who is helping out, giving me some ideas. Flick of the Wrist, Max LP80, who was on earlier. Um, and then Dalvo Klatzen and Kitsap Steve, who I assume is from the Kitsap Peninsula. Maybe he was following because he likes the Mariners and saw the video. But anyway, um, I always think it's nice when streamers thank their followers, and I wanted to do the same. So, yep, still there, still a suffering Mariners fan. I mean, did you at least feel a little better seeing the Mariners win a world championship, even though it took so much to do it? Yeah, I can't claim to be as long suffering as you guys because I grew up a Mets fan and I added the Mariners fandom when I moved to Seattle. Um, yeah, you don't know how to feel about it. I can understand that. And I figured AL team added to my NL team, there wouldn't be much conflict. Um, and the way the Mets are playing, I don't see the Mets Mariners ever meeting in the World Series anytime soon. So I've been following the Mariners since I moved to Seattle. And even before then, just being a baseball fan, I was a junior fan. So always kind of followed the Mariners that way. So Danny, you live just outside Puyallup. Were you were you watching Lap stream then when he was cyber stalking Max LP, who I think lives in Bonnie Lake, which is near Puyallup? I have to say, it's become one of my guilty pleasures watching Lap cyberstalk his audience. Yeah, the stalking did extend into Puyallup. So I actually think I have a couple more games in mind, and I also have, those other treatments in the revisionist history game. So I'm probably gonna dip back into the Mariners at some point. Well, IBDB2U also not far from Puyallup. So clearly, the way to start building an audience is to start putting some Mariners content out there. So yeah, so this was just like a side project from this 86 Mets experiment I'm doing. Get to the Northwest Twitchies. So I've since moved away from Seattle. We're in Portland now, but it's great that you guys are all kind of in the same area there. I used to live in Seattle, and I also spent 3 months living in Tacoma for work. Yeah, he did get that right. I'm also amazed when Lap gets all these hockey names completely right. Oh, Danny D. Smith Jr. used to work in Tacoma. Yeah, I was there for work, and rather than staying in hotels all the time, I got an apartment at Thea's Landing, which is those condos kind of behind downtown on the water. And they were gonna build like a hotel next to it and another condo building next to it. I don't think any of that ever happened. So yeah, so tonight we're gonna continue with the Mets experiment. So let me pull up the base game. Is there anything you guys want to see on the results of this 97 Mariners experiment before I switch over to the Mets? I think the cool thing was Junior hit 61 home runs. That was cool. Oh, how was the Mariners bullpen? Yeah, let's pull that up. So I don't know how well you can see this here, but where, how come I don't see? Oh, there we go. Oh, here, let me what should I better focus on top? How about reverse whip? Yeah, Pedro and Greg Maddux. So I was able to force four trades. So it was Pedro, Greg Maddux, Billy Wagner, and Trevor Hoffman. So uh, Hoffman in the pen, 8 and 6, 30 saves, 2.93 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, 13.5 strikeouts per nine. Yeah, Bobby Ayala, we kept him, and he did all right. 0-3, 5 saves, 2 holds, 3.31 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. one of the interesting things was I was surprised that the so I originally set them up as Hoffman and Wagner as co-closers, just to kind of see how the AI would deal with that. And it pretty quickly relegated Wagner to the kind of just general bullpen and kept Hoffman as the closer, which I guess isn't surprising that it picked one and just kind of went with them. Was a bit of a bummer because I was hoping Wagner would also be more involved in the season. I mean, he got a relatively lot of innings. Hoffman had 55 innings. Wagner got 49. Um, but Hoffman got all the saves, and I just kind of felt a little bummed out for Billy Wagner. But and then on the rotation, I think the Facero, Johnson, Moyer was a good top three, top end of the rotation, and then adding Maddox and Pedro to that just made it a killer staff. And they did not disappoint. Maddox went 24-1, 2.17 ERA, .87 WHIP, and won the Cy Young Award. And then Pedro, 23-5. Um, Pedro and Randy Johnson also topped 300 strikeouts, so that was pretty fun to see. And even Maddox hit 200. So yeah, it was for me the most fun part was actually like doing the trades and bringing those pitchers onto the team. But it was also cool to see how they performed. Um, and then one of the rationales for not taking anyone on offense was that um, chat reminded me that in left field, Jose Cruz Jr. is actually pretty good that year. Just that he got traded, so his numbers were his stats were kind of truncated, and so we just ran with the lineup and let him play out the season, and he did a great job. 38 home runs, which is basically a triple the amount he had, and he got traded away about a third of the way through the season. So he basically just kind of continued on that trajectory and did really well. And then here you see Junior hitting 61 home runs. Um, a little bit of a down year for him in average with 286, but still almost hit 1,000 OPS. And then Edgar, 36 home runs, 1056 OPS. That was fun to see. 337 average, 457 on base, 599 slugging. So that was really cool. Um, yeah. Oh, and then I think the big story is Russ Davis made the All-Star team, hit 23 home runs, and gave the Mariners seven players in double-digit home runs. Yeah, 171 RBIs. That was great. Three players knocking in over 100, and five players scoring over 100. And we didn't touch the offense, so that was just the simulation engine, the RNG, cranking out those stats. I did turn off injuries for the entire league because I didn't want to, bring all these players in and make all these changes and have someone get injured, and then it just ends up being a replay of the season. So that probably helped too, that no one got hurt. So it probably helped keep the offensive numbers high. Yeah, Max LP, thanks for pointing out the RBIs. I forgot to mention that. That's a sick number. 61 homers, 171 RBI. And I think 114, that's the number of wins the 2001 Mariners had, right? So I thought it was cool that it got them up to that level, but it also shows how crazy it is that that team won 114 games. Um, the real 2001 Mariners. That's also another team. The way I'm taking the 86 Mets back in time, the next experiment I was thinking about doing was taking the 2001 Mariners and starting them with their inaugural season, but replace them with the 2001 Mariners and just do that every year and kind of see what happens. All right. So, yeah, anything else you guys want to see? Otherwise, I'm going to fire up the myth. Oh, 116. Thank you. That's right. I saw an interesting stat. Where did I see it? I think of all the teams that have won over 110 games, only one's won the World Series. Oh wow, the real nice members had 9 people at 10 home runs. Yeah, I've got BREF up, so let me pull that up and see. Yeah, thanks for that call out. That's good to know. Oh yeah, Joey Cora. Okay, I remember Joey Cora hit 300 that year because when I was going through to see, who might we want to replace, I looked at all the positions and thought, well, a 300 hitting middle infielder, I think that's worth keeping. So yeah, here's BREF. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember being impressed that the whole lineup section was double-digit home runs. Yeah. Yeah, and the Junior 61 homers is only 5 more than what he actually hit, but the 171 RBIs is a lot. Yeah, hopefully this brings back good memories to you guys seeing this roster, seeing these stats. I always like going back and seeing old stats, and they definitely bring back memories. All right. So I'm going to start getting ready to do this next Mets sim. So here's where we are on that. So these are the 4 seasons we've simmed so far, with the 86 Mets replacing some really terrible inaugural Mets teams. Wow, is that it? Just 4 playoff teams? Man. So in 62, the real Mets won 140 games. Of course, it was expecting to blow those numbers out of the water, but it was kind of interesting how the seasons played out, especially in those run environments. So it didn't make the playoffs, which back then was just the World Series. Didn't make the World Series in 62, finished second place. Um, but 2.5 times as many wins with 101 wins. And the Dodgers went on to beat Minnesota. So in the sim, the Dodgers still won, but Minnesota won the AL pennant when the Yankees won it in real life. Um, 5 seasons with playoff teams, Mariners playoff teams. Um, and then in 63, the Mets improved to 51 wins, but were still in last place and still 48 games back of the Dodgers. And then the 86 Mets that year won 101 games, finished first. And instead of the Dodgers being the second place team, the Cardinals came in second, but were 13 games behind the Mets. And the Mets went on to beat the Yankees in a Subway Series, 4 games to 3. And then in 64, a 53 win Mets team, 40 games back, improved to 114 and 48, 15 games ahead of the Braves instead of the Cardinals, who won the World Series that year in real life. So that would have been a Stan Musial Cardinals team. And the Mets went on to beat Cleveland in the World Series instead of the Yankees, who won the AL pennant in the real 1964 season. And then in 65, a 50 win Mets team, all those Mets teams, 100 losses, uh, way more than 100 losses, 109 losses being the fewest. The Dodgers beat Minnesota in the real 1965 season. The Mets won 106 games, finished 10 games ahead of the Giants instead of the Dodgers, and went on to beat Cleveland again, 4 games to 3. So I did think the Mets would, of course, do much better than the original Mets teams, and I did think they would flirt with 100 wins. I didn't think they'd win 100 wins every season, and I didn't think they'd win 3 World Series so far. And of course, it's small numbers, right? These are just one. It's just one run per season. It's not like we did a Monte Carlo and ran like 10,000 1965s to see how often they did it, but It's still interesting. They're outperforming my expectations so far. And then the next Sims are going to be 66, 67, 68. So I thought about stopping doing every year after the first four, but when I look back at the records, I was surprised how terrible the Mets still were. Yeah, given they made it to the World Series and won in 1969, I kind of had assumed that there was a ramp up to that, but there really wasn't. Like they still lost 95 games in 66. They still lost 100 in 1967. And then they improved to 73 and 89, but that was still ninth place in a 10 team league, and we're 24 games behind. So it really was I guess, like a pop up prospect. It was a pop up team in 1969 that made it to the World Series. So because they were still so bad, I decided I'm going to sim these 3 years and just see what happens. So with that, here's my checklist that I'm going to do to make sure get things running light, and then how to import if anyone wants to do this. This is the easiest way I found to do it. I'll put this back up when I'm doing it, but I tried 3 different ways, and this was by far the quickest and easiest. So that's how I'll be doing it. So you too can do all kinds of fun Mariner simulations and help them win more, help them make it to more playoffs than 5. All right, so create new game. Also, if any of you do a lot of base gameplay and you see things that I'm doing that you think there are better ways to do them, I am all ears. Like a lot of this I did in a vacuum, just playing this game by myself, um, and even every year, I don't think I really tapped into like all the new capabilities each year of the game. So there's probably a lot of stuff I'm not really doing the best way possible. So 65, 66. Sorry, I'm gonna do 66. All right, I'm not importing the history. That alone might be a mistake. I don't know. I'm not importing the minor leagues, and I'm not doing expansion. And the history of the minor leagues, I'm not bringing those in mostly just to kind of save space on the save and to um, hopefully kind of reduce the load on the CPU. But I don't even know if that's a thing. So we'll call this. This is still experiment one, part three, 1966. Okay, commissioner mode cannot be fired. And then I always manage the base game as Mochi make sushi and make myself Japanese. And then I always just keep the date they give me because they do adjust it based on the game year. So I think Danny D. Smith Jr. and Max LP, you guys both play uh, Perfect Team, but do you also play the base game? Okay, so we're going to manage the Mets. Max LP's been messing around with the 77 members. Oh, that's a fun year. Oh yeah, I think I saw that. Is there a particular reason you picked that year? All right, so here's that checklist of things I do to make the simulations go smoother. So historic transactions off. It turns out I think that's off by default. So I just usually just double check it. Injuries off, all-star popularity influence off, and then the rest are some manager settings. So game settings, league settings, options. This is where the all-star settings are. So popularity off. I just want to see if I can make the Mariners not have losing seasons until 1989. I'm kind of curious. I'm assuming you're going to have to do some kind of maneuvering to make sure you have the right draft pick to get Junior, though, right? When you get to the year where he comes into the game, you'll have to make sure you can draft him. Or do you not care if you get him as long as you have winning seasons? I don't think I could do a Mariner sim and not have Junior, though. Okay, real historical transactions are off, and then I've got to turn injuries off. Have until 1987 have a winning season, then tank. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so you are going to make a run at Junior then. I don't blame you. I would not want to be the Mariners and not have him. Where are the injuries? Oh, it's under players, I think. Players and team. Okay, turn off injuries. Okay, and then the rest are just do not disturb on the manager, options, and then fix the mailbox, and we're good to go. Do not disturb, mailbox. Oh, sorry, Twin34. What about global? Oh, global settings. And then suck again in 93 to get A-Rod. Although I guess if you're able to build up enough um, prospect capital, because you know who's going to be good, right? So you can draft the right players and oh yeah, game settings, right? Um, do you think you can get enough good players and prospects and trade materials so that maybe you can trade for that number one pick? I mean, I've done Met Sims before where I trade the farm to get Junior onto the Mets. So I would think it'd be possible to get some of those number one picks away from their teams. Also, the AI, I don't know if it's different in OTP 25, but I know in past versions, if you offer like a really compelling package of players and then just start adding some draft picks, that usually will tip the scales and they'll go ahead and pull the trigger. All right, so I think that's it. So now I just have to, oh yeah, so I have to clear out the roster and then bring the players in. So this is, I built this to how to import in case people want to do this. Um, and I've updated it so it's now correct. So if you want to do something like this, where you bring a bunch of players from a different era onto a roster, um, I made this checklist. So prepare, and this way I can maybe clip this section and post it on YouTube in case people want to do this. So prepare the destination. This is mostly just you clear out the spaces on your roster. In this case, we're going to clear out the whole roster, and then the rest of the stuff happens on the free agent page. So I'll put this back up when we get there. The tricky thing is getting Edgar. He was an amateur from 1987, and Felix is an international discovery. Oh, interesting. I like though that you're trying to make the moves to get them instead of just going in commissioner mode and using the editor to put them on your team. So I applaud you for doing it that way. All right, so let's go to the roster and just clear it out. Just going to delete them. I don't know if it matters if I delete them or retire them, but I've been deleting them. And then go to the free agent page. Oh, there's usually not a free agent here when I come here. So you go to actions, import historical players, select the database, historical database, and then you can enter the player IDs, or in my case, I've already prepared a text file that has all 25 of the 86 Mets, so I can just feed that into the game and it'll pull everybody. So actions, import historical players, historical database ODB, and then if you go here, you can click to select file. And it doesn't have to be a whole Mets roster. It can be any roster that you want. Um, so a 1986 Mets roster. So I created another file here, which is one of the fields in the list is the destination, so the team you want to go to. And in this case, it's all NYM. I was thinking when we get to 96 or 69, when the Mets go to the World Series, I am going to run it one time where the 86 Mets replace the 69 Mets. Then I thought I'd run it again where I replace the worst team in the league, which will probably be Houston, replace them with the 86 Mets. So the 86 Mets and the 69 Mets will both be in the National League East. Because by then I think that they have divisions and actually see how they do against each other. So I might run it twice, and that's why I have the second roster file here. All right, and then import players. So this should import everybody. Um, you can technically draft Buhner in 83, 84 and not have to get him from the Yankees. Oh, that'd be interesting. Just have him be a local product, a homegrown prospect. Yeah, I learned a lot of things playing the base game. Like I either didn't know or had forgotten that Mariano Rivera had been a starter. So it's interesting to like see him in the prospect pool as a starter and then later get converted into a closer. Okay, so let's go check on our roster. We should have our 86 Mets in there now. Yeah, there they are. So turning injuries off saves you from having to bring in a reserve roster. So I'm just going to set up I've been letting the AI set up the rotation, and then I just make a few adjustments like moving Dwight Gooden into the number one starter position. I was playing with the bullpen roles to try to make them match 86 better, but the AI just kind of overrides me as soon as the season starts. Oh, actually, maybe you guys know. Is there because the AI does it with all my lineups too. Like for example, it plays Kevin Mitchell way more than he played in real life. Is there a way I can set it so it can't override my lineups? Maybe it's under strategy. Oh, that's the other thing is I import strategy. Um, oh yeah, that's right. They don't have a Davy Johnson, so I've been leaving it blank. Player strategy. Well, so I guess what I'm wondering is like in this lineup, right? I have the AI set the lineup. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if I click on Mitchell and do game strategy, oh, okay, yeah. I think this is what I want. So Max LP, is this the player strategy screen you're talking about? Where and I'm looking for the place where I prevent him from starting. Or I guess I do the reverse. Maybe I go to Rafael Santana, who was the starting shortstop, and force him to start. Lock team enable. Where am I looking? Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Oh, cool. Team coaching staff is in control of strategy settings. Do not disturb mode. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to go to Rafael Santana and force him to start. And that should keep Mitchell from starting a shortstop. Okay, thanks, Max. That's really helpful. I think that'll get me what I need on these lineups. So now it actually will be worth setting the lineups the way they were in real life. See, I'm learning something even though I've been playing this game for so long. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Um, so Mookie Wilson is always hiding down here. He used to start versus lefties in center field. And then George Foster was a starting left fielder for most of the season. And then, yeah, instead of Kevin Mitchell, it's going to be Rafael Santana. And then I will force Santana to start. Look at this. The AI put Gary Carter batting eighth. The starting Mitchell over Santana, I totally get because Santana was such a poor offensive player, but batting Carter eighth doesn't make much sense to me. So let's go Santana force start at shortstop. Yeah. And then the other thing named Howard Johnson used to platoon was Ray Knight. And I think the other one is I need to force George Foster to start because the AI keeps benching George Foster. Oh, I can also force lineup spot at eight. Perfect. Let me go back in there and do that. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Max. Eighth versus lefties, eighth versus righties. Then, no, I didn't realize Tuffle started with the Twins. Yeah, Tuffle started versus lefties on this team, so he's the other one I have to put in here. And one thing I've noticed after the first four simulations is the AI loves Wally Backman because he hit 320, and I guess his real stats and therefore his attributes in this game versus lefties are not that bad. So the AI starts him against both, and he hits. One season he had 220 hits, um, and hit 330 something, and he's not that guy, but in this game he is. So Tim Tuffle, force lineup spot V left as second, and force start. It's now if I force start him at second base, is it going to force him to start over Wally Backman then at second base? Because I don't want that. I just want it against Vila. So I'm going to try this first and see how that goes. And then George Foster needs to be forced to start or he'll get benched. Forced to start left field. I don't actually care where they put him in the lineup as long as he's in the lineup to be more true to the game. All right, I think we're good. All right, time to sim. For this center man. Okay, yeah, I remember somewhere there's a screen. Is it under game settings? Maybe under AI? No. There's somewhere where there's a list of all the decisions and whether I'm making them or the AI is making them. Oh, manager settings? Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, see, this is how it was set for the others. So it should be me and not the bench coach. So yeah, this is how it was set before. So to me, that meant unless I change something, it would remain set that way. But clearly, by looking at the stats and the box scores, like it was pretty quickly scrapping my lineup and putting in its own. But most of the issues were around things like, yeah, nothing should ever change once you have them set. So if they're changing, it should not. Yeah, right. So that's kind of where I was too. I was like, I don't understand why it's changing. But I think the things you guys helped me do with the forcing the position starts and the lineup positions, I think that should help a lot. So let's check it out. All right, let's fire up the sim. Yeah, but Twins 34, you saying that makes me feel better though, because I those were the how the settings were the last four times, and I was not expecting the AI to scrap my lineups, and it did like right from day one. This is interesting. Usually we jump right up to the top of the standings, but we're still kind of bouncing up and down the middle here. And we are 7 and 8, under 500. I wonder what's going on. Let me check this out real quick. Sid Fernandez 0-3. He's won a Cy Young Award doing this before, so that's a bit of a surprise. And then the lineup's always a bit weak, so I'm not really surprised if there's nothing going on here, but it's a small sample size, so let's see how the next month goes. The other time something like this happened, I checked the stats and I realized I had left injuries on and Gooden and Fernandez had gotten hurt, but it doesn't look like that's the case here. There we go, jumping up, bouncing between first and second. Pitcher of the month, Sid Fernandez. 20 inning scoreless streaks by Sid Fernandez, and an 8 consecutive on base streak by Len Dykstra. All right, first place, the end of May, 26 and 17. And then the Twins. So let me go back to this. The actual AL pennant winners are the Orioles, and they're in second place. So that tracks. And then in the National League, um, the Dodgers won the pennant, but they are second to last. So that something's going on with the Dodgers there, and the injuries are for everybody. So it can't be that Koufax got hurt or anything. Twins. That happened to me when I was testing having 10 Babe Ruths in the same league, and three of them got hurt and out for the season. So skewed all your data. That's awesome. Yeah. So when I talked about doing some of these things where I take rosters of like crazy ideas I have. One of the things I was thinking about doing was um, creating an 8-team league, and so they all have the same pitching staff, but one team is going to be all first basemen. The next team will be all second basemen, and so like have a team that's just all one position. and see how they do. I'm kind of assuming like the catcher, shortstop, and center fielder teams will probably do the best. But like I kind of want to test it and see how that goes. So just like your 10 Babe Ruths, like those are the kinds of wacky simulations I like. So that sounds like a lot of fun. Did you rerun it with the injuries off and see what happened with your 10 Babe Ruths? Let's do another month here. Oh shoot, when I usually just do to the All-Star game, and I forgot to do that just now. You should put 2010 Felix Hernandez with the 97 Mariners offense. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, Felix with run support, I'm sure would be incredible. Okay, on a roll, 15 game winning streak. Rookie of the month, Len Dykstra. Here's another quirky thing. Len Dykstra, not a rookie in 86, but when I bring him in from the future, his service time is somehow zeroed out. And it happens with Roger McDowell too, but it doesn't happen with anyone else. And I don't know why that happens. Player of the week, Len Dykstra. Player of the week, Dell Strawberry. So I did it, and it was a test to see if TCR. So what's TCR? If TCR would screw up and take down all their home runs, but they all did well. Most of them hit 50 plus home runs. Oh, league totals. Okay. Were they all on the same team, or were they scattered around the league? The Babe Ruths. Oh no, we're only at July 1st, so I still have time to sim to the All Star game. Scattered. Okay. How did you decide? So you had 10, so not every team got one. How did you decide which teams got a Babe Ruth or not? That sounds like a really fun sim. Just random. Well, what year run environment was that? Like the current day at the time or some historic year? Oh, 27. Got it, got it. Oh, that's cool. All right, let's see. Let's check out the All-Star teams. First, we'll do fan voting results. Wow, no Mets. Okay, Len Dykstra third in center field. He's the only position player. No Mets starters and no Mets relievers. That is very different from most of the Sims so far. Usually we get at least one position player voted a starter. It's been, I think, mostly Keith Hernandez or Gary Carter. Oh no, it's been Keith Hernandez or Wally Backman. I told you the Sim engine loves Wally Backman, and then it's usually been at least one or two starting pitchers either get voted or selected. So maybe they'll get selected, but this is the worst All Star showing so far. So I've just been copying these emails and then pasting them. So there's a little copy button here. They copy it as text, and then I've been pasting them into a notepad. Okay, and then here are the All Star announcements. So on the National League, okay, Sid Fernandez added, Bobby Ojeda added. So interesting that Gooden did not make it this year to the All Star team. Keith Hernandez added, hitting 299, 11 home runs. Len Dykstra added, and that's it. So Hernandez, Dykstra, and then Sid Fernandez and Bobby Ojeda. It is fun seeing all these names of these historic seasons like Mays and Aaron and Clemente. Oh yeah, so that's the watermark for VTube Studio. So I'm using the free version, so they have their little watermark flitting around there. All right, so let's actually sim the All-Star game. We'll just do a quick play of the All-Star game. All right, so the National League destroys the AL 13-2. That usually has not been happening. Let's see how the Mets did in this. Well, according to win percentage, it was close until the NL scored 10 runs in the seventh. Wow. That usually only happens against me when a wild card team takes me out of um, the perfect team playoffs. Clemente 3 for 3 with 6 RBI. I'm looking for Mets, but his stat line just jumped at me. And then Pete Rose 4 for 4. I guess he had money on the AL to win that time. Dykstra 0 for 1. Looks like Fernandez got to pitch and Ojeda got to pitch. Keith Hernandez pinch hit 1 for 1 with an RBI and a walk. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh, I missed the 2 home runs, but you're right. Yeah, 2 home runs, 6 RBI. I wonder. I'm assuming he got player of the game, but Rose might have had a shot at it with 4 for 4 and 3 RBI. Let's go down there and check it out. Player of the game is Roberto Clemente. That's awesome. How did the Mets do pitching wise? Ojeda 1 inning with a walk, and Sid Fernandez 1 inning with a strikeout. So they did pretty well for themselves. All right. Let's do the next month. Yeah, so you see on the sides the league leaders. Very rarely are any Mets leading the league in offensive stats. Oh, Ray Knight hitting 333 though. That's awesome. I think he had 298 in real life that year. So a 5 game home run streak by Gary Carter, the kid. I'm gonna screenshot. That's pretty cool. 5 game home run streak. So in your 1908's fictional historic Sims, Fernandez was drafted by the Expos and Mets #1 pick before the Expos took Kruk. Wow. So you're doing a 1908 sim, but you're just populating. Oh, 1980 sim. Okay. I was going to ask you if you're importing modern players into Deadball. That which should also be interesting, but huh. Yeah, it is kind of fun when your sims take on a life of their own and you start to like think of players instead of their real life team, you associate them with the team they're on in the sim. Okay, so at the end of July, the Mets are 68-35, 9 games ahead of the Cardinals. And the Dodgers again, who won the pennant. They have all right. The Dodgers have climbed down the cellar and are now in third place, but still 13 and a half games behind our Mets. And then the Orioles, who won the AL pennant, they are now back in first place where they kind of should be, according to history. All right, so we're already at the end of the Let's go to roster expansion day. Nails went to the Padres and McGriff to the Brewers. Yeah. McGriff is a Brewer in 1980, in the early 80s is interesting. On a roll, 8 game winning streak for the Mets, and still in first place, extending the lead to 15 games with Phillies in second, and the Orioles still in first place. So this could end up being a 1969 preview in 1966 if this continues. We're already at September 1st, so let's just go to the playoffs or the regular season end. Ray Knight still hanging in there at 335. The Mets already at 100 wins. Ooh, a gold achievement. 16 game streak with quality starts by Dwight Gooden, who was snubbed in the All Star game, and Batter of the Month, Darryl Strawberry. So here we are with. Oh, so I simmed to the last day, so we have to sim the last day to get the full season stats. So we have to finish today. Okay, ERA crown, Dwight Gooden, going to the playoffs. Okay, so the Mets finished 22 games ahead of the Braves and 20 ahead of the actual pennant winner Dodgers. This is by far the biggest lead the Mets have had. Not the highest win total, but the biggest lead. Why are there drops? There are not drops because I am not an affiliate. So sorry for that. Um, but yeah, no drops for me. So sorry, Sam Koala. And then on the American League, the Orioles did win the pennant like they did in real life. So we will have a 69 World Series preview here. So Twin 34, your pick in the ninth round, you have for pitchers, Gubaza and Frank Viola. But he was older and not rated as good. So um, I know you can do different settings for these sims in terms of like how true to history they perform and develop. So would you have been getting though like the real Frank Viola in terms of his stats and ratings? So either of those two would be amazing in the ninth round. All right, so I think let's just well, oh wait, let me screenshot this and then let's run the World Series. So for the World Series, I like to go to the playoff tree view. Ooh, Orioles win 4 games to 1. So we didn't make the World Series the first time we simmed in 62, but then won the next three, and this is the first time losing the World Series. All right, fantastic score 922. Let me screenshot this. So yes, you have it set up by taking peak of career and 5 year recalc. So the potential is very close, but you still have to develop it. Okay. But you can, when you're drafting though, you can kind of count on them, the general trajectory being kind of similar to what happened in real life. So let's go to the coverage and see what happened here. Orioles win 4-2. Orioles win 2-1. All close games. Mets win 2-1. Orioles win 2-1. Orioles win 3-2. Wow. A 2 run game and 4 1 run games. I feel less bad now about the Mets losing the World Series. That would have been one heck of a World Series to watch if it had been a real one. I mean, I think that's the kind of goes down in the record books, right? As like one of the most competitive World Series ever, all 1 and 2 run games. All right, so the all that's left now is let's get the postseason awards, and then we'll take a peek at stats. Then we'll run the next sim. So for postseason awards, I like to go to the mailbox. Kind of, but since you're using the game engine, they may never develop or never make their potential, but should still be good pitchers. Okay. All right, so I'm going to delete all this out. That way it's easy to find the award messages and then Gold Glove awards. Or they can become Hall of Fame players, right? All right, Gary Carter wins the Gold Glove. That's it for the Mets. Yeah, the Mets usually do not fare very well in the simulations in terms of Gold Gloves, which I think is accurate. Other than Hernandez, I don't think anyone's really like well known for their defense on the Mets, except maybe Carter. And even his defense was not super well rounded. All right, so now let's sim to reliever of the year awards. McDowell's won this a couple of times, but not this time. Unanimously won by Phil Regan of the Dodgers. Er, When McDowell, I think McDowell won it once. Every other time, I think it's been a Dodgers reliever that's won this. Not always the same one, but always a Dodgers reliever. I wonder if part of that is like maybe the way the Dodgers manager sliders are set, that it's setting up their closers to be really successful. All right, Platinum Stick Awards. No Mets, otherwise I would have gotten a pop-up. So that's a little disappointing. And Rookie of the Year. Again, Len Dykstra, not really rookie, but he's won a few of these. Yeah, he won again this year. Unanimously, too. Let's see. 309 average, 10 home runs. He probably got a bunch of stolen bases. We'll check it out when we go to the stats. And every iteration of OOTP I've played for things like awards and stuff, the game engine seems to really love stolen bases. So that gives a lot more weight to Len Dykstra. All right, let's sim to Manager of the Year. No, thank you, thank you. NL Manager picked New York's McSushi the winner. Noting the level of passion for the New York Mets. And here I am being quoted. The biggest challenge was the fans. I don't know how many times I was asked if I thought the club was good enough. It was as if they expected failure. It was much easier to win over the ball players. Slowly but surely, the fans began to believe in us. And I'm looking forward to the off season, apparently. We're reviewing our options. You never stand still in baseball. You either get better or worse because everyone else is out to get your free agents or deal for your prospects. Um, isn't 66 still pre free agency? It's going to be a challenge, but the skipper has more than proven he's equal to the task. When was I'm gonna look that. When did MLB free agency start? 76. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was in the 70s. So free agency doesn't exist yet. Here I am blabbering on about it to the press. All right, and then let's get to the two big MVP. Dwight Gooden wins the Cy Young. Nice. Snubbed at the All-Star game, wins the Cy Young. I like it. That's like seems like a very New York Metsy kind of thing to do. He won it unanimously too. 18 and 8, 244. Let's have to see him. Oh, 214 strikeouts. All right. And then did I copy and paste that Cy Young info? I sure did. Okay. So now the last one is the MVP. And then we'll review stats and then go on to the next sim. Joe Torre. I did notice when I was watching Ray Knight bat, Joe Torre did win the batting title, so I'm sure that helped. 18 first place votes. Oh, interesting. Len Dykstra got the other. 330 Well, one of the things I really like about OOTP, especially playing Perfect Team, is seeing all these players who I only know as managers or coaches being players, and some of them being really good players. All right, so that's it for the awards. Let's check out the pitching stats real quick. So yeah, this was a little bit of a down sim for the Mets pitching staff. Um, 17-10 for Fernandez, 18-8. I mean, the wins are there, but these are more losses than the Stars have gotten in some of the other sims. Ojeda 18-10. Yeah, but Gooden still managed the Cy Young Award. Good for him. 1.07 whip, 214 strikeouts. Sid Fernandez led the team with 227. And then let's just take a spin through the batters. Strawberry 28 home runs. So this is typical of the Sims, and this is also kind of representative of what happened that season. No one over 30 home runs. Strawberry Carter um, leading the team in home runs. Keith Hernandez came in at 300. I think he had 311 that year, so he had 301, just close. 100 RBI. Then George Foster forced to start. So thanks for your help, guys. It did force him to start in left field. But he definitely outperformed his 86 stats with 24 home runs. Still a low average, but it's good to see him holding down left field there. Someone in Reddit posts, my players used to have HRA and BABIP in their stats, but they do not have them anymore. Is there any way I can turn them back on? Huh, that's interesting. I did not know you could uncheck it. Huh. And then, well, okay, so forcing Tim Tuffle to bat second versus lefties did not apparently force him to play though, because he only had 49 plate appearances. But I'm worried that if I check that, um, oh, that's to make your ratings look like 24. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess maybe there's you're doing certain data polls and don't want to change it for 25, but I would think you'd always want more data than less. Um, I wasn't able to force Tuffle to start Justin Turner. I'm worried that if I click the box though to make him start at second base, then it won't start. So maybe I need to check. Maybe I need to set both of them, Tuffle and Backman, to start at second base, and then only designate a VL lineup spot for Tuffle and a VR lineup spot for Backman, and then maybe that'll do it. Yeah, force both to start. So we'll try that for the next sim. All right, so let me. I think I have all the screenshots and things, but let me just get one more shot of the standings just in case. All right, I'm going to save this. And then start 67. So in 1967, the Mets still lost 101 games, finished 40 and a half games back of the Cardinals. And the Cardinals beat Boston, so I'm assuming that's a Musial versus Yastrzemski World Series, which would be cool. Create new game. Yeah, it's fun having people who do stuff in the base game in the chat. It's been great getting your perspectives on how you do some of these things. And I really like the 10 Babe Ruth. I'd be curious to see what happens if you just add a Babe Ruth to every team. So when you did the 10 Babe Ruth sim, did the 10 teams that had Babe Ruths all end up like near the top of the standings, and then like all the non Babe Ruth teams were behind them? Right, I think we're ready to start this up. The other way I used to play OOTP, which I don't, you didn't check that because you're only checking for home run total. Okay, all right. Um, I don't know if anyone would care to watch this, but one of the ways I played OOTP every year I got the game was I would go in commissioner mode, use editor, and create players that were myself and then all my friends who played baseball. So, like my high school teammates and the guys from intramural softball. And I would, kind of just take their kind of player characters and turn them into um, players in OOTP. I'm assuming like I'd probably change all the names so that I don't want to put real people's names there, but but I can still do it. I just don't know if anyone would find that interesting. I mean, maybe like people might watch the first one just to understand how to use editor mode if they haven't done it before. But the rest of it, I think, is just interesting to me. So I don't know that I would do that. But you did an official league you made of the Midwest. Yeah, so maybe people watch an episode or two so they could do it too. You can learn how to do that. The thing about creating players in editor mode is, I mean, in the potential section, you can put what you want kind of the peak performance to look like. So you can kind of shape to look like certain players. Um, but what I don't think you can do, or at least I haven't found it, is to shape like what the trajectory is to get to the peak and what the and coming down from the peak looks like. So I don't know that there's any way in editor mode to make it so are you a Brady Anderson or are you like a Hank Aaron, right? So like, do you hit that peak for one season or do you hit that peak and stay there for a long time? Uh, that's the part I haven't figured out yet. Partly because when I did it, I just kept adjusting the attributes every season. And so if I didn't want someone to start dropping off, I would just like boost them back up again. All right. So, I mean, a League out of Cities. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So this wasn't you. This wasn't your version of like putting your friends and everything in it. You just made an entire fictional league. Injuries off. All star. Reports of popularity none. Oh, I'm gonna uncheck. I don't want pitchers winning the MVP award because they have their own award. So I'm not gonna let them win the MVP. Let me check my checklist again. Injuries off, all star popularity off, and then the rest is manager stuff. Yeah, it's always fun to learn how people play the base game. No one seems to do it the same way, which is part of the fun of the game. And then the town you grew up in, you made all your friends. Oh, so you did both. You made your own league and you put yourself and your friends in. That is awesome. So what happened? Did you win the World Series every year? let's see. I think we're nope. Did you win it at least once? Okay, clearing out the rosters. I find it interesting that you created a fictional league to do that instead of just sticking yourself in the majors. Like I just took over the Mets and made all my friends Mets. Well, actually, I started us off in the minors because I wanted to see us develop. And so whatever peak was, I cut it down to like half and put us all like in triple A and or single A and double A and kind of progress through the system. I actually didn't get too far in the sim. So you're still doing this right now. I started near the end of 24 and got into beta testing 25, and now you're always beta testing. Well, I will be curious to hear how that goes. That sounds like a fun little experiment. So sign a free agent, import historical players from historical database.odb. Click here to select file. Oh, and in case I haven't shown it today, this is, I'll show you what that text file looks like. Here it is. Right, so it's the player ID, the year of the stats that I want, and then I want them to go into the onto the Mets roster. If you leave that last field blank, it'll just put them into the free agent pool. And for most of the players, it's 01. It's not that like Ed Hearn ED was an 02 because there was apparently a Hearn ED before him. But otherwise, it's mostly 01s. All right, so we'll click that roster and import them. All right, everyone's successfully imported. For the bench coach, set the rotation. Move Gooden up to number one. Set the lineups. All right, so let's start this. First, we'll do the Mookie Wilson platoon. And we will set both of them. Both will start in center field, but Mookie will start lead off versus lefties. And then we'll do the same with Dykstra, but for VR. Force start at center field. Lead off VR. All right. Okay, and in this case, they do have Santana starting at shortstop, but I need to lock this down because even in the cases where the AI started with Santana at shortstop in the 8 hole, they quickly replaced him with Kevin Mitchell. So first, four start at shortstop and VRVL 8th spot. Okay. And then platoon Tim Tuffle. There we go. VL at second base. 4 start second base. Batting second VL. And then Wally Backman. Start at second base, batting second VR. Okay. This will be very cool if it works. Although you would think they would just have a universal checkbox to say force AI to use this starting lineup. Uh, George Foster in left field. And we will force him to play left field. And I don't really care where the II puts him, so we'll just do that. And then Howard Johnson. Oh yeah, I forgot to acknowledge how great it was that Ray Knight hit 330 in the last sim. That was fun to see. I'm gonna roll with those two first, and then see how the center field and second base platoons work. And if that works, we'll do it at third base too on the next sim. Um, I don't think I did all my changes yet, did I? To the settings. Oh, maybe I did. Injuries are off. All-star game. Oh, looks like I did. Okay, cool. Do not disturb. Yeah, okay, cool. And I'm pretty sure I did the mailbox, but let's double check. Yep, all right, let's sim it. All right, and just as a reminder, this is a 67 run environment where the Mets finished 61 and 101, and the Cardinals are the real life pennant winner that we're going to want to keep an eye on. All right, let's sim the first month. Hey, Twins, what did you end up calling your league? I forgot how deep you created this league. Said Minnesota, Dakotas, Wisconsin or North Division. Each state has their own division with 4 teams. Same for Iowa, Nebraska, and Missouri. 28 team total. Wow. Then feeder leagues, which are in high school team. Wow, you went deep. Real high school teams in each state to make the feeders. 28 teams. Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and MVC, and 1 junior college. Wow, that is amazing. All right, so the Mets and Cardinals neck and neck. Rookie of the month, Roger McDowell. Again, not a rookie. 7 consecutive K streak by Sid Fernandez. Oh, that's a good one. That's a cool one. And 7 consecutive on base streak by Ray Knight. Ray Knight's hot tonight. It was Wally Backman the first 2 sim sessions, but tonight it's Ray Knight. We're half a game behind the Cardinals at 12 and 7. Boston won the pennant this year. You just called it Midwest Baseball. um, Boston, who won the real pennant, stuck at 5 and 12. Wow. Well, it is small sample size. It's still the first month. So let's run the next month. We're bouncing between second and third, dropping to fourth, dropping to fifth, dropping to sixth, climbing back up, 4 game home run streak of Gary Carter. He had a 5 game home run streak in the last sim and a 10 game winning streak. Uh, and it also you also imported real historical players. Oh, cool. Okay. Did you do that setting where it just randomly brings in people from the database? So we are 2020 above 500, but in fourth place, still only 3 games behind. So when it's tight like this, which has been in one of the sims, there's a lot of bouncing around because one or two wins can suddenly change your position. And the Red Sox are still suck second in last place, 16 games behind at 17 and 29. So for some reason, and I guess it's just the random number generator, um, this simulation has kind of destroyed the Red Sox season. It does not look like they're headed towards the AL pennant. Twins for four, you have the league based in 1961, so players will. Oh, I see. Okay. So is that a setting you chose? Did you set it so it's player 61 and forward, um, or could you have set it so it's like anyone from any time? I haven't done that kind of simulation where I use a player pool, so I'm curious to learn more about that. I've been watching some of the folks on Twitch are streaming saves where they just create a general player pool, and so they're drafting people from all eras of baseball into their league, which seems a lot of fun. All right, so let's do the next month, see if we can get into playoff position here. So end of June, or sorry, beginning of June, let's just go to the announcement of the All-Star teams. That'll be July 9th. We are kind of stuck in fourth place here. We've moved up to third, 6.5 back. But the Cardinals, who won the real pennant, they are leading the National League. And the AL side, the Red Sox have not moved from, I guess, ninth place. These should be 10-team league, so ninth place. And it's the White Sox that are leading the AL right now. All right, so so this is All-Star announcement day, so let's get those. NL fan voting. There you go, Wally Backman. I told you that the sim engine loves him, so I think that also might mean, and let's take a quick look, that that trick did not work to keep Tuffle. Yeah, Tuffle is still glued to the bench. So I force started him and Wally Backman at second base, and I forced Backman into the 2 spot VR and Tuffle into the 2 spot VL, and the AI is still benching Tim Tuffle. I think tomorrow I will post in the OTP forum asking, is there somewhere in the menus where I can just force the AI manager to run the lineup that I've set? Len Dykstra second in voting at center field. Again, no pitcher is getting enough votes to get in the top five. I mean, I know this can't be the case, but I feel like this happened too when Dr. Dynastic was trying to do. He was trying to sim the '94 season, the strike shortened season where the Expos were leading Major League Baseball, and he was running a bunch of simulations to see who should the Astros face in the World Series. And not only did the answers keep changing on the AL side, like the Expos hardly ever won the NL. And it almost seemed like day by day there were some days where like the AI just seemed to be favoring one team over the others, and then the next time he did it, it'd be like a completely different team. Um, I know it's probably just small sample size stuff and like finding patterns where there are no patterns, but I just thought that was strange. So if you are just using import real historical rookies, so you don't have the random rookie. Okay, so you can do real or random. All right, so let's just sim the All-Star game and then we'll do the rest of the season. Afraid at all that you and your friends won't stay together on the team over time, or are you gonna just use commissioner mode power to keep everyone together? Because I was worried about that when I would sim the leagues I would make with my friends on it, and so I would set their loyalty super high and their greed super low. And then even if that didn't work, then I would just use my commissioner setting powers to like force them back onto the team. Oh, they'll end up in the draft. So are you gonna kind of rig things so that you make sure you get them, or do you not care and you're willing to just send them out into the world? So the AL won 4-1, four hit the NL. Let's just check out a box score. Nope, letting them go wherever. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I never thought to do it that way. I always just wanted to just like have fun with my friends and see how we did together. Um, it would be interesting to see like if they scattered around the league, what would happen. Let's see. Roger McDowell got in. I see him on the box score. Wally Backman pinch hit. 0 for 1, scored a run. Looked like Dwight Gooden was a starting pitcher. That's cool. And then Dykstra got in and went 0 for 2 with two strikeouts. Let's see how they pitched. Gooden got the loss. One run, two hits, and an earned run, two walks and a strikeout. And then Roger McDowell pitched an inning. Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot to look at the All-Star. I looked at the All-Star voting, but not the All-Star rosters. So before I forget, let's look at the All-Star rosters. Even though I kind of gave away the lead there since we already saw who was in it. Like, so Dwight Gooden selected, Roger McDowell selected, Wally Backman selected. Yeah, 361. I mean, the dude who did hit 320 and 86, but he is not a career 300 hitter. And he's hitting 361 in the sim. Now, the cool thing is you can start a league in 1901, but run it like it is in 2024. Oh, yeah, that'd be a way to do it too. Um, Len Dykstra selected. That's it. That's a pretty good all-star showing compared to some of the other sims. So yeah, if you do want a sim like this and you are interested in like how the all-star voting goes, if you unless you artificially set their popularity using editor, unless you set the effective popularity to none, your players won't make the all-star game because the popularity of the other players will just overshadow the performance of your unknown players. All right, so back to the sim, back to the standings page, and let's see if we have any league leaders while this runs. Yeah, Backman in the running for batting average, Dykstra and Backman for stolen bases. All right, wow, still stuck in fourth place, 61 and 45. I mean, we are only 4 games back, so a hot month and we could be right back in this. And the Red Sox are climbing out of the cellar. They are up to sixth place at 46 and 46, but I don't think there's any way they can catch the White Sox. It's August 1st, so let's run to roster expansion day. If you're up to third, up to second. It looks like we'll have a good battle with the Cardinals here for the pennant. 14-game quality start streak by Dwight Gooden. The Red Sox have been eliminated, so they will not win the pennant like they did in real life. And the Cardinals, who won the pennant in real life, are 1.5 games ahead of us with 1 month left to go. So this is the first time I think I'm going to sim week by week. I just want to kind of see how this pennant race plays out. Okay, we're still a game. Oh wait, okay. Let's do a week now. Next week. There we go. All right, we are tied for first place now on September 11th. We're 84 and 60 each. We're on a 2-game winning streak, and they're on a 1-game losing streak. Let's do another week. All right, we are now a game and a half back on a 3-game losing streak, and we're at September 18th. Let's do another week. We are 2 games behind on September 28th. We're running out of runway here. It's 155 games in, and we are 2 games behind. Their magic number's 5. And we did not make the World Series. Sid Fernandez did win the ERA title, but despite a 4-game winning streak, we went 7-10, 7-3, and they matched us at 7-3 down the stretch. So we did not win the pennant this year. 95 wins, still a good season, still way better than the 61 wins. And at 2 games behind, much better than the 40.5 games behind that the real 67 Mets were. But yeah, there's just no beating this Cardinals team, I guess. Let me screenshot these standings. Let me take a look at this Cardinals team. Roger Maris. Look at this. All the biggest home run total is 21. But the average is 314, 309, 336, 301, 299. And then I thought they'd be more pitching heavy, but 17 and 10 is good, but not great. 16 and 9, 17 and 10, 15 and 12. Yeah, this is an interesting profile for a pennant winner. And also Lou Brock batting cleanup. 301, 21 home runs, 115 RBI. I wonder how many stolen bases he had batting cleanup. Let's take a look. Yeah, he still sold 36 from the 4 spot. That's interesting. And then earlier, I think I said Musial Cardinals, and in my mind, I was thinking Maris Cardinals, because this is before he got traded to the. I'm sorry, after he got traded to the Cardinals. But this is a down year for him too. 19 home runs. He did hit 309 though. I think that's pretty far above his career average. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Okay. And then let's see how the Mets stats were. Darling 9 and 12 under 500. Gooden only 18 and 11. Uh, Ed Lynch from the 5 spot turning into 12 and 6. That probably helped us stay in the pennant race. Yeah, I wonder if this is just a bad offensive year. Because that 114 win season, the main difference was, yeah, only one player above 20 home runs. Strawberry was 17. Gary Carter. You know what? I wonder if this is an impact of the run environment because we're getting, I mean, we're getting closer to the year of the pitcher here. Um, and it looks like our offense just got, it was already not super strong and it really looks like it just fell apart. Like no one player with 20 home runs and that's it. And then, I think Strawberry's really suffering under the run environment here. 17 home runs, 235 average. I mean, he was never going to be a 300 hitter, but I mean, this is a really weak stat line for him. Um, Same with Gary Carter. And let's see what happened with Keith Hernandez. Yeah, 256, right? We're expecting 300 from him. We're expecting 100 RBI from Hernandez, and he only got a 67. So I think it might be the 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 pitching run environment, but then you would think that would help the Mets staff because it's the depth and strength of this rotation that I think took them to the '86 championship. Huh. All right. Well, let's see what happens if we get deeper into the kind of the late '60s and the even stronger pitching performances. Because was it 68 the year Bob Gibson had the 1.1 something ERA and I think 13 shutouts. So we're getting closer to that. All right, I think we'll call this a sim. Let me go ahead and save it. Oh, no, no, we didn't do postseason awards yet. Sorry. Um, Let me screenshot the standings. Oh, we didn't do the World Series either. Man, I just lose all interest in the World Series when the Mets aren't in it. So playoffs, playoff tree. So the White Sox win the pennant on the AL. And the White Sox take it 4 games to 1. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the the pitching dominance of these next few years. Partly because I just would have thought the Mets would really ride that because their pitching staff was so strong, but instead it seems like it's blowing up in their faces. All right. I guess I'll screenshot this. And then check out postseason awards. I'm not optimistic that we're going to win much here. All right, so we'll sim to the Gold Glove. Oh, sorry, the Great Gloves. And we did not get any of these. All right, and then we'll sim to Reliever of the Year. We might have a shot at this. McDowell did get named to the All-Star team, but nope. McDowell came in second, but no first place votes. Clean sweep of the first place votes by Roy Face of the Giants. Let's see the stat line they got on that. 3-3 with 13 saves wins the Reliever of the Year award in 1967. Wow. That did not take a lot to win that award this year. All right, we'll sim to the Platinum Stick Awards. Len Dykstra did win one. At least we didn't get shut out there. What was the stat line? 291, 374. 291, I think, is exactly what he hit in 96. Um, but I guess in this low run environment, that's a good performance. I mean, not that 291 is a bad performance any year, but you wouldn't think it's platinum stick worthy. Rookie of the year. Len Dykstra, again, not a rookie, so I kind of take that one with a grain of salt. Okay, and then manager of the year, Jim Harden of the Orioles. Oh no, wait, sorry. Look for National League. Herman Franks of the Giants. Interesting. Where were they in the standings? Oh, third place, 1972. I always like it when the AI gives it to someone who was not a first place team because I feel like it's actually putting some thought into it besides just giving it to the winners. All right, and then we'll sim to the two big ones, Cy Young Award, Bob Gibson, 13 first place votes. Oh, Fernandez and Gooden came in second and third, and Bobby Ojeda came in fifth. So I guess even with those relatively did well, like I guess because I don't know, league wide. All right, so we'll save that. Actually, from a staff perspective, the Mets did really well then. All right, and then MVP. Philadelphia's Tony Gonzalez, 371 with 15 home runs and 92 RBI. 13 first place votes. Second place, Hank Aaron. All right. All right. So I think we are done with this sim. Let me just save it. And let's see, 12:38. Do I have time to do one more? I might be putting off some perfect drafts, but I think I'll just finish out the day because I was hoping to do all three of these tonight. So we'll do 1968 next. So 1968, 73 and 89 Mets, ninth place, only 24 and a half games behind. But this is the year before the World Series appearance. So, man, it's crazy to think how bad they were just 1 year before winning the World Series. So let's see. So we've done six, four World Series appearances, three World Series wins. And this season was the first one that we did not win 100 games. I wonder, as league wide pitching gets better, the Mets pitching staff just becomes less of a differentiator. So then you fall back on the lineup, and our lineup is not super strong. So that could be it. So what is a dominant, elite, and deep starting pitching staff just becomes more, I guess, average because everyone else is pitching better too. That is my updated hypothesis on what's happening here. So that should only get worse for the Mets in 1968 because I think this is the year of the pitcher, the year that Gibson had that dominant season. And so if everyone else is pitching better, then the Mets pitchers suddenly don't seem as far ahead of everybody else. And then if you look at the next few things like bullpen and lineup, we are not that good. And so we might fall further behind. I wouldn't be shocked then if we, barely crack 90 wins or even are in the 80s if everyone else's pitching just starts to, catch up to ours. This is a factor I had not thought about or anticipated. I actually thought the years that the Mets would have the biggest problems would be when they're facing other like teams that actually have elite offenses or are like truly dominant up and down the roster. This was a hiccup I was not thinking of. It just kind of makes it just could be battles, isn't it? And so the sample size of one season. Did my freeze? What's going on here? Looks like the whole YouTube studio froze. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so let me just refresh my memory again. Pennant winners we're looking for are Detroit and St. Louis again. This is a good run for St. Louis. Season's almost ready to go here. And then I think the next stream is going to be probably some version of picking the roster I want to build is the best rookie seasons I can think of. Um, well, not just what I can think of. Then I'll start with kind of what I remember, and then I'll um, add to that using sources I find online, and I'd ask around in some of the streams and some of the chats. But I'd have like a pretty good day because I've done this before a long time ago in OTP, so I'm sure I don't have those rosters anymore, but I'll kind of base it on what I did last time. It's probably good to finish on this sim too because I think my system's clearly getting laggy. Avatar starting to freeze up, and my mouse is sometimes freezing up. So I'm just hoping to get through this sim and then call it a night. And hopefully someone is streaming OOTP we can raid into. It is fun being raided into, but I also found it really fun to raid into someone last time. That was really good. It definitely makes me feel like part of the community more than just sitting there watching. To actually stream and then to raid into someone, it's a good feeling. Yeah, systems definitely like it's taking forever for this season to initiate. Oh, Twin Surf for just me because you're not streaming tonight. And you actually took what I brought to someone that plays OTP. Let's see. So what's your usual streaming schedule, Twins 34? I just come on at 10:30 because that's when that gives me time after the girls are in bed, and then I do my drafts, and then kind of get a few slides together, and then I'm ready to go by around 10:30, and then it works out pretty well because that's when Ezra Denny's usually around wrapping up. Monday night, Tuesday morning. Wow, 6 hours. Yeah, I'm glad I have some natural forcing mechanisms that make me start and stop at certain times. Otherwise, I would probably go on and on too. This game's just too easy to get lost in. All right, so let's get the game ready first. Injuries off. All stars, no popularity. And let's not let pitchers win the MVP award. And then, even though I feel like I know it, I check this checklist every time because I think I'm going to forget something. Let me just make sure historic transactions are off and then do the manager's setting stuff. Got it. Use historical transactions is off. Perfect. Manager options. So usually do Thursdays after Bull League and Sundays, but this weekend you went to a Twins game. That's a 3 hour drive to Minnesota now. Parents didn't bring your PC and didn't stream last week. Okay, so you're usually doing Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I'll try to avoid those because I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Um, I just, this is stuff I'd be doing anyway, so I just figured I'd throw it on there, mostly because I just want the videos of it for YouTube. Um, and, you know, but I thought people might be interested. Tonight you had to do your co-commission duties and stream Bully tonight. Oh, awesome. That's cool. You're on stream for Bull League. That's cool. How did that go? I imagine that's a lot of responsibility. I could not imagine running one of those online leagues. I would be so worried that, yeah, the game. I was about to say, I would be worried that I would cause some error like that and lose everything. That is a bummer. So how you just do it all over? Wow. Is there like, do you try to do it over and over until you get close to the results you had before, or do you just say one time was RNG, so the second time's RNG? Oh yeah, the mailbox. Man, I could not imagine that having to having that happen and having to do that all over again. Nope, just resim. That seems fair to me. All right, so now let's build the rosters. I'm really feeling pessimistic about this season. Like now that I've thought, oh, this is interesting. This is the first season we have so many other players besides the active roster. I'm assuming that's just based on data availability, but this is the first year we have AAA and AA players. I'm going to delete everyone because I don't want the AI bringing anyone else from 68 onto the 86 Mets. I'm just going to nuke everyone. And since we don't have injuries, I don't think we should need a reserve. Worst part is you call the game and then, oh man, that is a bummer. Oh, you lost the game that you called. Well, not that you lost it. It doesn't sound like it's something you did, but your system crashed and it got lost. That's a bummer. All right, so then let's go to free agents and import our Mets, our 86 Mets. All right, import historical players from historical database. Okay, now that there's this many free agents in the free agent pool, I am really glad that I learned how to do this text file method, mostly because I can send them right into the Mets roster and not worry about having to find them. The good thing is it happens for a commish all the time, so you're kind of used to it. It must suck though if you're one of the GMs and like your team does really well and then it crashes and then you don't do so well on the resim. So who's the normal commish? Oh, okay. His username is Bull League. Okay. Ray. So I'm curious, when you work on something like that and you're a co-commissioner with someone, do you end up meeting them in person or is everything just strictly done online and everything? Well, I don't even know if my system's going to make it through this sim. It is getting super slow. I mean, this step usually takes a minute or two anyway, but he's in Hamilton, Ontario. You're in Iowa, so that would be hard. Yeah, it is interesting. Like, I feel like some of the people in chat, I've gotten to know, but I don't see any way like I'd meet any of them in person ever, just because of the distance and everything. But you do feel like you get to know people on there. You have been in the league since OOTP 21. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Are there any points where like it feels like, oh, this might be the last season of the league, or is it one of those things where it just keeps going on, going strong? I was wondering about this thing because it just seems like a lot of work to keep them running. So I always wonder if like there are ever any points where people just feel like I don't know if this is going to keep working. But I've yet to hear of an online league that has folded, and there's several that are going on for a long time. So yeah, it keeps going. If he feels like he wants to quit, I would take it. Oh, yeah, I would assume most leagues probably have someone like that who would say, "Well, I don't want it to die. I like playing it, so I'll take it over." He pays for Stats Plus, I think, for a year. Okay. And so Stats Plus is the server, I guess. I think I've heard other online leagues mention that they use Stats Plus. So that's something as like a base game player and just now like starting in December getting into Perfect Team. I never even thought about needing a server because like I'm always the one playing. I've never done multiplayer. Okay, our players have been imported. Go to my roster. It's a service that's a third party that helps online leagues with file transfers. Oh, okay. So it's not just a server; they help you manage everything too. Oh, that's cool. That must be a pretty niche business. OTP itself seems niche, and then That's a service serving a niche. All right, so this time they have Aguilera in the fifth starter position instead of Ed Lynch, which I like better. I think that's more true to the season. I'm gonna have to do a little more research onto this the platoon stuff because I thought we had hit on a solution. I think it's working well when it's not a platoon. Like the George Foster stats are definitely playing out the way I had hoped, where it's definitely keeping him in the starting role almost too well because in 86 Foster started the season, but I think by the end of the season he wasn't playing as much. So in some ways it's almost leaving him in there too long. But I'll take that over, sticking Kevin Mitchell in there, who just realistically did not play that much in 86. Yeah, the guy who came up with Stats Plus, the diehard OT player, and he's on the beta team and everything else as well as and helps test online leagues during beta. Oh, okay. So he's in the world and just went deeper into the world, I guess. George Foster, Force at left field, and then Rafael Santana, Force at shortstop, and Force in the eighth position. And then I'm at least going to make the effort to put Tuffle and Wilson in there, even if the AI doesn't keep them. Or at least feel like I tried. Oh wait, it's batting Strawberry second. That is interesting. Well, I am returning it more to 86 with Tuffle and Backman hitting second. Carter at cleanup. I guess we can leave Carter at cleanup and Strawberry fifth. Oh, it did not take my George Foster bat. Oh no, yeah, I don't care where he bats. That's right. I don't care where he bats. I just care that he starts on left field. And Howard Johnson VR at third base. Okay, I think that's it. Ready to sim. Standings page. And again, we are looking for the Tigers and the Cardinals are the actual pennant winners. And I think 68 Cardinals is that you can do all your drafting on Stats Plus trades, just tons of stuff. I mean, you can take the files from Stats Plus and import them into OTP, especially the draft stuff. Oh, okay. Oh, so it's not just a server, it's almost like it becomes a run environment. He's really integrated OTP and Stats Plus together. Oh, that sounds really cool. I still would have no interest in creating or running an online league. It just sounds so daunting, but it's cool that there's such a good service out there for you guys. All right, before we start, I want to look up the 1968 Tigers because I want to make sure I'm not misremembering the stats for this team. Because what I remember is I'm thinking this is the Denny McLean team, but I could be way off. So let's go to BREF. Yeah, and it is. It's the Denny McLean 30 game win season team. So this is the team I was thinking of. Yeah, Norm Cash, a 33-year-old Al Kaline on the coming off the bench. Okay. Yeah, this is the team I was thinking of. So that's good to know. Oh, sorry, I wasn't showing it. I was looking at this BREF So yeah, this is the Denny McLean 30-win season team. So I make sure I have the right team in mind as we go through the sim. All right, let's do this. Hopefully we can finish before my system crashes or freezes up. To be honest, you thought it would be hard to do, but because of Stats Plus, it makes it pretty easy. Oh, yeah, maybe it's one of those things like once you're behind the curtain, you realize it's a little easier than one might think. Just from an uninformed perspective, it seems pretty daunting. Plus, I'm so used to playing base game by myself, I find it just hard to think about what it'd be like to play with other people. But then again, I play Perfect Team against hundreds and thousands of other people, and that's super fun. So, but I also don't have to deal with the logistics. So, how many? You probably know as co-commissioner, how many actual people are playing Bull League? Wow, we are starting 0 and 5, 1 and 5, barely climbing out of the cellar. All right. We're in the middle of the pack, 9 and 9, 500 record. The Cardinals are 14 and 4. And the Tigers, who won the actual pennant, are tied with are in our same spot in sixth place, 6 out of 10. This is before expansion, so it's still 10-team leagues, no playoffs, straight to the World Series. All right, let's do another month. All right, we're above 500. We're in third place now. Cardinals are going, looks like, wire to wire so far. And we're dropping and we're bouncing around a little bit. It must be pretty tight in the middle of the pack there. Yeah, but every team with a real GM except one right now. Oh, yeah, he did say, well, so, and the reporter gave him a chance to walk it back and he just doubled down. He said, yeah. So apparently there's some discussion whether he said he's the worst teammate in the league, but then when he was asked to clarify, he did say he's also on the worst team in the league. So even if he was misquoted initially, he did say he was on the worst team, and then when given the chance to walk it back, he doubled down. So yeah, that was even for even for the Mets, that was crazy. Ooh, 43 scoreless inning streak by Sid Fernandez. Rookie of the month by non-rookie Roger McDowell. 14-game shutdown streak by Roger McDowell. And 8 consecutive on-base streak by Keith Hernandez. That's some pitcher of the year stuff right there. 43 straight scoreless innings. All right, let's do another month. We're in third place, 2.5 games back. And on the AL side, the real pennant winner Tigers are 7.5 games back, 21 and 25. I'm assuming they got to keep the glove. I mean, I don't see what standing the Mets have to get that glove back. And frankly, I don't think the Mets are going to go through a lot of trouble to get that guy his glove back. He's already been DFA'd, so uh, oh, and here we go. Mets are in first place, second place, close race with the Cardinals. Yeah, that was one of the more bizarre things I've seen happen with the Mets. All right, 13-game quality start streak by Dwight Gooden. We are a game ahead of the Cardinals, who won the actual pennant, and the Tigers. All right, they are 3 games back in third place, and might give us a chance of at least recreating their half of the World Series if we manage to beat the Cardinals. All right, so it's July 1st, so we'll just go to the announcement of the All-Star teams on the 7th, and then we will take a look at those All-Star announcements. Let's see, mailbox. And we pulled the game ahead during that. It had to roll one game forward to go into the All-Star break. I doubt anyone's going to take that dude. He was probably done. I have a feeling, given enough injuries, that someone will eventually sign him again. But yeah, no one's going to be, I think, looking to sign him right away. He could probably use a little vacation. Oh, this is a good All-Star year so far for the Mets. Gary Carter second in voting at catcher. Keith Hernandez second in voting at first base. But Backman did not make it this year, and neither did Dykstra. So it seems like it's always one or two. It's just being moved around. And again, no Mets in the top five in voting, and I did turn popularity off. So I don't know what's going on with that. Even on the years that these Mets do well in the Sims, they don't seem to pop in the All-Star voting for pitchers. All right. Let's look at the actual All-Star rosters. All right, that's the AL side. On the NL, Sid Fernandez chosen, Dwight Gooden chosen, Gary Carter chosen, Keith Hernandez chosen, and then Dykstra. Okay, this is a record. 5 Mets in the 68 All-Star game. So of these 86 Mets Sims, this is the most All-Star bursts that the Mets have got. All right, so then let's sim the All-Star game. This is more just to see if any Mets play in it. Yeah, him throwing the glove, it was not quite as crazy as like Antonio Brown taking off his shoulder pads in the middle of the game and walking off the field, but it was bizarre. 30 game on base streak by Keith Hernandez. All right, let's watch this All-Star game. Well, not watch it, but let's quick play it. NL wins 4-0. Wow, they three hit the AL. Oh, the Antonio Brown thing? Yeah, that was wacky. That was wacky. Dykstra pinch hit 0 for 1. Dwight Gooden got in there as a pitcher. Keith Hernandez pinch hit for Gooden, went 1 for 1 with a walk. And Sid Fernandez got to pitch too. So let's see how they pitched. Let's see. Gooden. Oh, Gooden got the win. Came in through an inning and got the win. And then Sid Fernandez came in before him, got through an inning with a walk and a K. All right. That's not bad. That's a good outing for the Mets. All right, we are 1.5 games ahead. Coming out of the All-Star break, July 9th. Let's go to the end of July. Building a little lead there. It got up to 4.5 games, 5.5 games. Oh, and now it's the Giants, not the Cardinals, who are in second place. Pitcher of the month, Ron Darling. Oh, and the Tigers, the actual pennant winner Tigers, are now back in first place in the AL on a 9-1 last 10 streak, 7-game win streak. So they are getting hot in the summer here. So August 1st, we'll do the next month. Yeah, the Cardinals have fallen to third now. And they were the actual pennant winners. Oh, we have swap places with the Giants there for a second. And Baltimore has jumped back ahead of the Tigers. 21 game hitting streak by Wally Backman. I said it before. The Sim loves Wally Backman. Okay, we're in third place, but we're only one game back, so it's not as bad as it looks. 82 and 58. This is a really tight pennant race. Together, there's a lot. There's gonna be a lot of jumping up and down the standings here, and the Tigers are 2 games back in the AL. All right, let's do another month. Oops, I should have done regular season because I'm a little worried now that a month takes us into the World Series. Hopefully not. Oh, I can stop autoplay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. That is a good button to have. Okay, so I stopped it at the 157 game mark. We are a game behind, and everyone else but the top three have been eliminated. In the AL, the Tigers are in first place, and their magic number is 5. So I'm just going to sim a day at a time now. We are not playing any games. Oh, I have to play. Okay. No, no, no. Sorry. I don't want to play a game. I'm going to have to close out of this. I just want to sim the day. Finish today. Okay. We are now a game behind the Cardinals and Giants, who are tied for first. The Giants are now solely in first place, and Cardinals and Mets are 1 game behind. We are at 160 games, so we have 2 games left, and the Giants' magic number is 2. Ooh, we have been eliminated. We are both Cardinals and Mets are both 2 games back, and the Giants have won the pennant with 1 game left to go. Another missed World Series. Yeah, so we finished in second place. The Cardinals fell another game back. They won the actual pennant, but they finished third. We jumped in there between them and the Giants, the 86 Mets did. Still much better than the ninth place, 24 games behind that the actual Mets were in 68. But based on these sim results, a little disappointed that we didn't make the World Series again. And the fact that 2 of those misses came in 67 and 68, I'm going to give a few more plus marks to my hypothesis that as the pitching across the league gets better, the Mets' advantage gets smaller because we do not have a lineup that gives us an advantage. It's all our pitching staff. So let me screenshot the final standings and then we will sim the World Series and then look at some stats. Playoff tree. And the Tigers actually won this World Series for real 4-3 over the Cardinals. Let's see how they do against the Giants. Ooh, a sweep. Too bad Ezra Denny missed this. Had a chance to see the Giants sweep the Tigers in this 1968 re-simulation. I guess just simulation, not a re-simulation. All right, it's doing the post-game, post-season cleanup. I'll get a screenshot of this for my sim record. Twins for you after this. I'm gonna probably be offline in about 10 minutes. You're gonna stay on. You're gonna step and do some drafting or something. Yeah, look at this. My VTube studio is frozen again, so I think it's gonna be a good time to wrap up. I think maybe my laptop's just not got enough power to do OBS and VTube Studio and OTP. Might be a good excuse to upgrade. Ah, there we go. There goes my VTube Studio waking up again. I wonder if there's a way I can. Oh, it was very. I was just wondering what you're going to be up to after the stream because I'm going to wrap up in about 10 minutes here. Only happens when stuff in OTP is loading. Yeah, I think my system's just a little uh underpowered to do all this streaming stuff. I do wonder if there's a way to prevent it from doing all this postseason processing stuff. I just want to see the awards. I don't need it to set up the minor leagues or the free agents and stuff for the next season, but yeah, probably sleep. I feel bad being the only thing keep standing between you and a good night's sleep. I think I have a few more drafts to do, but I'm probably going to end the stream first, given how slow everything's running, and then do those drafts and then go to bed. I'm in the middle of a crazy project of trying to get 6 teams qualified in daily draft. Um, I think 4 are safely in. I think the other 2 are one was like in around 150th place and one was in 200 or something place. So I think in a good week I can get 5 in. I think if everything lines up I can get 6, but I think we're looking at 4 or 5. But whatever happens, I think I'll maybe do a stream about it and give some pointers on how to slam daily drafts to try to qualify. You're trying to reproduce the Blue Jay City Connect right now. Oh, you're doing your uniforms in OOTP. That's cool. I think maybe like a short stream about how I'm doing these daily drafts might be like a one-off that someone who's new to Perfect Team might want to check out. So I think that I might do that next. In the jersey make so are you talking about in the oh, I'm thinking of Perfect Team. The jerseys in Perfect Team. You're probably talking about the base game. 'Cause I've tried making uniforms in Perfect Team for my alts. I'll have to check out. So the jersey makers in the base game, I'll have to check that out. I've never done anything with uniforms in the base game because I've never really cared about like simming and the data, but that sounds pretty interesting. And now that I know how to do hide scores and highlights in Perfect Team, I do think I'll do more of that in the base game. There's a program that you can make jerseys. Oh, it's on the Oh, cool, cool. I'll check that out. So you make the jerseys in the program and then you can import them into OOTP? Oh, yeah, I guess it's like anything. It's probably just the file, right? That OOTP pulls from. Yeah, this is even slow for normal, this postseason processing. Okay, that does sound cool. I wonder, like I've heard Tesuiji will make cool uniforms for subscribers, and I'm wondering, I'm assuming that's how he does it then, using this jersey maker. Yeah, I'm glad someone made something because I know like in Perfect Team, like the uniform maker's easy, so that's nice, but it doesn't give you a ton of options. Yeah, I definitely do not pay enough attention to the forums. You've made a ton for the TLDR League so far. Oh, cool. TLDR, that's Attica Online's like D&D OTP hybrid. That seems like a lot of fun. Actually, I should just have that have his stream on the background sometimes just because it's interesting. And it's so different from how I play that I find it really um, fascinating to hear how he's doing it. So you're making uniforms. Are you going to be like a co-commissioner in that too? Just helping make things. Oh, good for you. I hope they appreciate that. I'm wondering, do uniforms for a D&D OTP hybrid league, are they like super fantastical or are they like normal uniforms? Uh, I'll feel lucky if you gave it to me because my system is lagging so much now. Like I move the cursor around, it's skipping around. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish this sim. Some are pretty good, some are basic. Oh, there we go. Finally done. Okay. Let me grab these postseason awards before the system crashes on me. Let me go to the mailbox. This might be my favorite part of the sim is grabbing all these postseason awards and seeing what happens. All right. Let us sim to. Oh, I turned expansion off. Yet they're having an expansion draft. I wonder why that was taking. That's why it was taking so long. I wonder what 86 Mets were snagged in the expansion draft. We're really messing with the space-time continuum now. We didn't just drop in and play the season. We're now probably getting drafted in expansion. Yeah, this is probably going to take a while because it's got to sim the draft. All right, Len Dykstra won a gold glove. Let me snag that. And let's go to reliever of the year. Frank Lindsay. Unanimous 24 first place votes. Roger McDowell came in third. It looks like I gotta clear out the inbox again. Oh yeah, my laptop is getting very warm. All right, and then let's sim to Platinum Stick Awards. I do like these fake award names like Platinum Stick and Great Glove. Wally Backman wins for second baseman. Again, the sim loves Wally Backman. It just basically takes that 320 average and just extends it for a whole season. It does make me wonder if Davey Johnson had just started Backman all the time. Rookie of the year, non-rookie, Len Dexter. Yeah, oh, you changed the back. That's smart. That would actually save me from kind of tripping over the names all the time. Dykstra wins that. Manager of the year. Ralph Halkovy. Oh, that's AL. NL. Herman Franks of the Giants. He won in the last sim too. It's interesting. For all the other awards, it shows like first, second, third. It doesn't show it for Manager of the Year. And Cy Young Award. Here are the two biggies. Cy Young Award. I wonder if Gooden will win this one. Cardinals ace. Oh yeah, Bob Gibson. 23 first place votes. Gooden came in third. Gaylord Perry, the Giants, came in second. See, Gibson went 18 and 9, 1.71 ERA. And the MVP with pitchers not allowed. William McCovey of the Giants. 19 first place votes compared to 5 for Hank Aaron. 305, 36 home runs, 106 RBI. But in a super pitcher environment, that is probably a huge monster stat line. All right. If it'll hold up, I just want to look at the pitching stats real quick. Yeah, 18 and 10 for Dwight Gooden, 194 strikeouts, 18 and 8 for. Yeah, the pitchers did a little better this season than the last sim. I'm assuming the offense is going to be down again. Take a look at the batters. Yeah, only 3 players in double-digit home runs. Strawberry with 21, Dykstra with 10, and Hernandez with 12. George Foster seems to have disappeared this year. Where is he? Okay, something weird happened. Oh, okay. Some of these I think were added in the postseason because there's some non 86 Mets on here. But where is. Oh, I bet he was taken in the expansion draft. That's why he's not showing up. Okay, I gotta see this then. Where did. I think there's probably a log. Expansion draft log. Raleigh Finger. Okay, let's look for the Mets here. George Foster, age 37, taken by the Kansas City Royals. D block has George Foster, a 37-year-old washed up George Foster. Yep. So the experiment has gone awry. There are 86 Mets now throughout the majors. So there's a second page of. See if oh, Gary Carter. Wow, we let Gary Carter go in the expansion draft. Gary Carter and George Foster. Huh. That's pretty interesting. Well, that's fun. That's kind of cool seeing that the Mets are now out in the world beyond just the 68 Mets. Although I did turn expansion off, so I don't know how that happened. Maybe I forgot this time, but I don't think so. I guess I can always check the VOD and find out. All right, well, Twins 34, thanks for hanging out. It's always more interesting when there's someone in the chat and we can talk about not just what's going on in this sim, but other stuff too. So I appreciate it. Hope you can get some rest. And hopefully I'll see you next time. And next time maybe I'll see you on your stream too. I think I threw you a follow, but I will double check after this. All right. See you later. Let me put the title card back up because I think it grabs it as the it might grab it as the image for the thumbnail.